okay, you want me to just tell it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had a printing graphic design business at one time and dealt with clients on per job basis, and I had the lady come in and said that her husband and her had started a heating and air company, and they wanted to get business cards, letterheads, envelopes, stationery, brochures, all kinds of things. And she had an example of her logo, which was a refrigerator with wings. It was kind of silly, but she had the name of the company, and she said she wanted it to be a yellow background, and she wanted the clip art to be printed in brown. And she had actually drawn some of it out, was trying to save money. She drew how she wanted the business card laid out, how she wanted things to look. And I'm looking at it, and I said, well, everywhere that you've penciled in black, you want that to be yellow, and you want the clip art to be brown. And she said, yeah, that's our two favorite colors. It's my husband's favorite color and mine. And she also had, because we lived in the Northmont area, she wanted the text to be in green. And I said, well, I'm not trying to, to put you down on your color choices, but I have to tell you that those are not complementary colors. They don't go together, especially when they're right next to each other. And she said, well, yeah, but I think that it'll be fine. And I could tell that she was really set on her choice. So being professional and kind and considerate, I tried to gently persuade her that that was a bad choice. To the point where I even said, well, before I can even do this project, I need to hold these swatch book colors next to each other so you can visualize this, because those colors truly don't mix together, especially when they're right side by side. So I went and got a couple of Pantone matching books, and I put the colors that she had chosen right next to each other on a bright white piece of paper. And I said, when these colors reflect, this is what you're going to be looking at. And she said, oh, that'll be fine. And I just knew in my gut that there was going to be a problem. So I had her sign a release that she approved the use of the colors on all her publications. And she placed an order for 1,000 business cards, 5,000 brochures, 1,000 envelopes, invoices, and her logo and this color scheme was on all of it. So it ended up with about $967 worth of printing when we got done. She came to pick it up, and when she opened it, she looked at it and said, oh my goodness, this color, this is nothing like what I visualized. And of course I'm standing there kind of dumbfounded because I had already showed her the swatch book. I already showed her the colors. And I said, well, they're not complementary colors, as I mentioned. And she goes, well, what can we do about this? And I said, I don't know, other than pay your bill and maybe reorder it, change the color scheme. She said, well, there's no way I can pay for this. And I said, well, ma'am, you ordered this. I've got your signature on this release. I tried to explain to you how these colors would look side by side. Well, now that I see it, it really looks bad. Maybe you could give me a deal. Well, I was a small business, and I was struggling. I mean, I was trying to get my clients built up, and I would have loved to give her a deal, but I had about $450 in materials. So half of that was materials. The rest was the profit margin and expenses for the lights and keeping the building open. And I said, ma'am, I really can't give you a deal. I said, especially as much time as I took to explain this to you. And she stormed out of there. I mean, she left and just left me hanging with all this printing. I mean, boxes of printing. So I billed her for about 45 days, and I ended up getting my letter back, do not return to sender, with no explanation as to why it was returned to sender. So I went to the Small Claims Administration, and they suggested that I get an attorney. I didn't actually get an attorney, though. They suggested that I file a small claims suit because it was less than $1,000. I think grand larceny or the actual crime, whatever it actually was, when you don't pay your bill, has to be $5,000 or more before it's grand, and then otherwise it's a minor problem. So I went through the court system, and they served her and her husband in the business. Basically, they served the business because that's what the client was an LLC, a limited liability corporation. And they appeared in court, and we presented our cases, and her only explanation was that things weren't made clear. And when I submitted as evidence my release, it clearly stated that the color choices against the graphic designer's advice was rejected, and she wanted to go ahead with Pantone, whatever they were. So the judge looked at it, and he said, ma'am, you clearly were given the information that you needed to make an informed decision. And from what I can see from these samples, this color matches exactly what you were offered. So I'm going to find in the plaintiff's favor for the full amount. And within about 65 days, I got a check from the court. They had to pay the court, and the court paid me. And I just remember how frustrating it was that you can communicate fully to somebody. You can really be honest and upfront, try to do the right thing by them, and still it's going to cost you time and effort to get them to follow through with what they promised to do. It's really disheartening. But most people do. Most people will pay their bill or they'll recognize their own mistake. But there are still people out there that think that they need to get a free ride. And the thing you have to do, this is what I always tell my students, clear your conscience. Know that you did the right thing. If you know you did the right thing, then you can sleep at night. There's still people that are going to screw you over. It hurts, but you just have to make sure you do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.